Hello, welcome to my channel WWE Pulse.
The false finish is one of the oldest tricks in wrestling, but it is also one of the most effective. I was going to say something about TM Biscuits, but this isn't the British Wrestling Society. This is Doctor Who. And today we are taking a look at another one of the many tropes that are common in professional wrestling. Now, this trope doesn't really have a set name, but I've heard it called a few different things. Some people call it a false finish, which makes sense because it's when a match finishes, but then it turns out that it didn't actually finish. Others refer to it as a near fall, which technically isn't quite right because this is beyond being a near fall. That term refers to a move where the wrestler kicks out at the last possible second, which is part of what we're talking about here. But this is more than just a near fall. Still others refer to it as a swerve or a super kick-out, which again has some merit because it is a sudden change of events. And it does usually involve a super kick. But again, it's more than just that. Now, there are plenty of other terms for this, but the thing they all have in common is that none of them are universally used. The only thing that every single version of this has in common is that it involves a moment in a match that is designed to trick the audience into thinking it is over. Usually, when a superstar kicks out of a finisher at the last possible second. Now, sometimes this is done with heels, but usually it's done with baby faces because it gets the crowd invested in the match. I mean, there is nothing like hearing your hero of his music start up only to realize that he or she still has a little bit more fight left in them. And these moments always get the crowd going because we think our heroes have lost. But then they come back and deliver even more offense, usually setting up some kind of hot tag or something like that. It gives the crowd something to cheer for, and it builds up suspense, because now we know that this time, when their face hits their finisher, if the heel kicks out again, then who knows what might happen. Will they be able to hit their move again? If so, will the heel kick out again? And if he does, then how can the face win? These are the kinds of questions that get people invested in a match. And in the case of a multi-man tag team match, it can be used multiple times with different people. This is a pretty well-known tactic in wrestling. So much so that it's not uncommon for wrestlers to use it as their signature move. Take Shawn Michaels, for example. How many times did he pull off the Heartbreak Kid? Super kick, pretend to beat him, and then hit the switch-in music only to get the 3 count after. It seems like it happened all the time. I think if you looked at enough of his matches, you would probably find that it was a very common occurrence. And that is exactly what makes it such an effective tool in a wrestler's arsenal, because it draws on the crowd's knowledge of the wrestler's history. Like, you already know that someone like Shawn Michaels could pull off that kind of move because he has done it before. You don't even need to see himself with a pin after hitting the sweet chin music. You can just look at his body language and see that something isn't right. Maybe he's a little too slow getting up. Maybe he looks a little confused for a second. Whatever it is, the crowd knows that something is up. And that means that you can do this with other wrestlers too. If the audience knows that this particular wrestler has a history of kicking out at the last second, then they're going to automatically assume that this time is different. They're going to assume that they're seeing something new and exciting, which means that you can make the more predictable moves seem special. For example, if you're a wrestler who's known for always kicking out of your opponent's finisher, then it becomes less predictable when you don't. And if you do, then the crowd is more likely to buy it. Of course, this tactic is not without its risks. I mean, if you're known for kicking out of everything, then you don't want to kick out of something small. Otherwise, you're going to lose credibility. And that's why this move is best used in high stakes. That way, if you do end up kicking out of something small, it's less of a problem. But speaking of high stakes match, this trope is particularly effective in multi-man tag team matches, especially if it's a 3-on-3 or a 4-on-4 elimination match. Because in those cases, you can use this move to eliminate 2 or even 3 wrestlers at once. This is a great way to build drama because now the audience is worried that their favorite wrestler may be out of the match. But then it turns out that they're not, and they're still in the fight. Of course, sometimes you want to use this move to make the heel seem strong instead of the face. This is usually done by having the heel kick out of something that should have ended the match. Something like The Rock's rock bottom or John Cena's attitude adjustment. Now, this can be a really effective way to make a heel seem dominant, but it's important not to overdo it. Again, if the heel is known for kicking out of everything, then it's going to lose its impact. In fact, it's probably better if the heel doesn't have any signature moves. That way, the audience doesn't expect that they're going to kick out of anything. This is why heels who use submission moves are often the ones who benefit the most from this, because submission moves are something that you can instantly kick out of. If you were to try to submit someone with a sleeper hold or a cross-colored choke, then the only way that they can escape is to tap out or pass out. And you can't really argue that they were distracted or something like that.
This is why heels who use submission moves tend to be more believable when they kick out of a pin.
But even if the heel does have a signature move, you can still make it work if you do it right. Just make sure that you don't overuse it and you should be fine. But there are ways to make this trope even more effective. Sometimes you can make it seem like a wrestler's gone, kick out of a pin when they really do UNT. This is usually done by having the wrestler sell the pin, meaning that they roll over and put their shoulders down even though they weren't pinned. Now this can be a really effective way to make the audience think that the match is over, when it really is a Now this is usually done by heels because it makes the babyface look stronger than they actually are. For example, if the heel sells for the pin, then it makes it seem like the babyface was able to get the 3 count despite the fact that they didn't. This makes the babyface look like a powerhouse. And it also makes the heel look like they lost, because they couldn't keep their shoulders off the mat. Of course, this is a form of cheating. So, it's usually done by heel. But there is one way that a face can use this trope, and that's to make it seem like they're giving up. For example, if a wrestler is in a submission hold, they can pretend to sleep in order to make the heel think that they won. This is a risky move, because if the heel doesn't take the bait, then the face ends up tapping out anyway. But if the heel does take the bait, then the ref may stop the match and award the win to the face, even though they didn't actually tap out. And that brings us to another way that this trope can be used. Sometimes it's used to make it seem like the match is over, when it really isn't. For example, if a wrestler's pinned and they kick out at the last possible second, then the referee may not see it. Now, this is usually done to protect the heel, because it makes it seem like they won. But really, they didn't. This is why it's important for heels to have their accomplices in the match, because if the referee doesn't see the kick out, then the heel can use that as a reason to attack the face. And since the referee's distracted dealing with the other wrestlers, the heel has plenty of time to regroup and come up with a new plan. That's it for today, folks. What do you think? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked this video, then hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe so you don't miss out. And if you really want to support the channel, then consider becoming a member. With that, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.
Okay guys, thank you for watching my videos.